It's time for Tao of the Day, folks. Here we are on Wisdom as we do every morning, Monday through Friday. I'm here to talk to you about the Tao. Turns out I've been doing the Tao of the Day in different forms for definitely more than 5 years. Facebook just reminded me today that, and I posted this on Facebook today, an old Tao that I did. I don't know what number it is, but it was about armies and briars and thorns and how war is definitely not the way you want to proceed in life. So yeah, I'm here to talk to you about the Tao. The Tao Te Ching is an ancient text written over, you know, what is it, like 600 BC? So, 2,700 years ago, and it is still relevant today. I look at the Tao as a transition from away from the feminine strength of relationship into the masculine uh, strength, one of the masculine strengths of logic. And I was just realizing, and I'm going to be doing a talk about this tomorrow with Paul Pedmore, who he and I will be talking about structure. Well, no, actually, we're not talking about this, but he and I will eventually talk about this. We'll talk about the idea of structure versus the importance of purpose, right? Like, so a house is the structure, that's the masculine, and the purpose of the house is what you do inside of it, right? Without an inside of the house, there is no purpose, and the purpose is to create a home. And so there's this, this dichotomy, and the Tao talks a lot about that between these two aspects of things. That talks about the building of a structure, and then how do you use that structure? You use the structure by, like a vessel, like a cup. The cup is the structure, that's the masculine thing, but it is the space inside that you utilize. And that's what we really focus on when we look at the Tao. The Tao talks about how do you utilize the structures that are around you. And so if you have a number between 1 and 81, join me. We'll have 15 minutes to talk about your verse of the Tao. We'll read it through, talk about it, and then go through it line by line. The Tao Te Ching is a wonderful, magical text that helps us in every aspect of our life. And I would really I always love having someone come on early. So if you're here and you have a number, otherwise I'll go ahead and pick a number, as I oft do. And it's always wonderful to share the Tao with people. It's always wonderful to be able to be talking about the Tao out loud. And I've been making a Tao Te Ching or a Tao of the Day podcast on Spotify, which is these recordings. So if you wanted to join me, I'm going to go ahead and, I'm thinking about 74. I'm not sure if I've covered 74, but I'm going to go ahead and choose 74 for myself. If you have a number between 1 and 81 you'd like to pick, I would love to read that through with you. So just join me by hitting that little purple microphone button, and then we will be connected to explore the Tao together. Number 74 states, if you realize that all things change, there is nothing you will try to hold on to. If you're afraid of dying, there is nothing you can't achieve. If you aren't afraid of dying, there's nothing you can't achieve. Trying to control the future is like trying to take the master carpenter's place. When you handle the master carpenter's tools, chances are that you'll cut your hand. This is interesting because I cut my hand yesterday just utilizing a knife. um, so that's already kind of connected. If you realize, so we're going to go through this line by line. If you have a number you wanna chime in and discuss with me, I would be happy to talk with you about your Tao for the day. But here we go. If you realize that all things change, there is nothing you will try to hold on to. How beautiful that is. How beautiful it is to recognize that all things are going to change. So if you have a relationship, that relationship is going to change. Maybe it'll end. Maybe it'll just change. But trying to hold on to it in the way it is right now is not fruitful, and it's not going to help you be present with the moment, because every moment is going to change. So you're not going to hold on to things the way they are. You're going to be able to allow them, if you're able to allow them, if you're able to embrace the idea that all things are going to change, you won't want to hold on to anything. How often do we say, oh man, I wish this moment could last forever? But that in and of itself often gets us kind of caught up in this idea of, I don't want this to change. And maybe we don't, but can we tackle the idea that, like, it is going to change, and embrace that? Embrace the idea that, oh, this beautiful moment is going to end, and I want to embrace it right now as it is, because it is this right now, and how beautiful this is right now in this moment. And it is not going to be here much longer. Instead of lamenting the idea that it's going to change, that's the beauty of understanding things are going to change all the time. You know, when I talk about relationships, I always say the first thing you want to do when you get into a relationship is recognize that it's going to end. And then you get to embrace it completely, you know? And I think that that's something that we often don't understand, is that, no, this is going to end. And that's the beauty of it. That's what gives me such strength in the space of relationship. I know this is going to end, and I'm going to give everything to it while it's here. And I'm not going to hold on to it. I'm going to allow it to go. And if I get triggered, if I get hurt by something, that's okay. I was able to embrace it while it was here. And that's some of the beauty of understanding that things change. You know, it changes when you get a job. It changes, like, that job isn't always going to be there. It changes as you grow and learn new things. New knowledge isn't always, like, everything is going to change. And if you can embrace the fact that everything is going to change, well, then there's nothing you're going to try to hold on to. And the moment you see that you're holding on to something, you're going to be able to step back and say, oh, wait, this is going to change. You know, this too shall pass, as they say. Like, that's these first two lines of this 74. If you've joined me and you want to pick a number between 1 and 81, I would love to share the Tao Te Ching with you. This is Tao of the Day. I do this. I'm Martin John, the host of the Recover Yourself podcast, and I talk about the Tao a lot. It was a big part of my recovery. And I would love to share the Tao with you. If you have a number between 1 and 81 you'd like to choose, join me. I'm reading number 74 for myself. It started, if you realize that all things change, there is nothing you will try to hold on to. If you aren't afraid of dying, there is nothing you can't achieve. What does that look like for you? You know, I think when we get caught up in the idea that we're going to die, we get caught up in this idea that, like, oh, we're not going to accomplish things, and we start to live in fear of that. And we start making goals. We start doing things that we have to embody, doing things that will allow us to sit in a space of oh, I have to achieve these things. I think the moment you create a goal for your life, the moment you create a bucket list, is, you know, is the moment that you start to not achieve things. Because now all of a sudden you have that list, and now it's possible for you not to achieve things. It's possible for you, but before you made that list, before that list was made, before that list was conjured by your mind, there was nothing you couldn't achieve. But now you have things you have to achieve, and so things take priority. Instead of just being present with the moment, you have to move things into a series of priorities. And when you do that, you start to worry about time. You start to worry, well, how much time do I have? But when you stop being afraid of dying, when you start to embrace death with all of its complexity, you're able to more easily just do things and be present with yourself doing those things. And that is beautiful, right? There's beauty in that. There's so much beauty in just being able to be present with yourself right now as you are. There's nothing you can't achieve. And you will be able to achieve so much if you just step back and allow yourself to be present. Trying to control the future is like trying to take the master carpenter's place. The master carpenter here being the Tao, right? The Tao is the master carpenter. He is putting things together as best they fit, right? Like you want something and it moves you, this is in line with law of attraction and other things like that. And we have taken some shortcuts on the law of attraction just so we can talk about manifestation and we can sell good products, right? Like that's so much of what the law of attraction is used for now, is just to, sell coaching courses and do things like that. We'll help you manifest $1 million. We'll help you and then the desire for that. And here we say trying to control the future, which is this kind of realm of manifestations and other things like that. Trying to control the future is like trying to take the master carpenter's place. When you handle master carpenter's tools, chances are you'll cut your hand. And this is the glory of understanding the Tao and understanding that all things come in good time and all things come when you're ready. When you try, how many of you can say that you've cut your hand trying to take control of your life? I know I can. I know there are times over and over and over again, like in trying to control what I thought the future, trying to not have something in my life change. I have cut my hand severely, severely. I think it's really funny. I mean, I'm kind of amused by this because we start this 74 starts in this way of, it says, if you realize that all things change, there's nothing you will try to hold on to. But once you try to hold on to, what you're doing is trying to manipulate the future, trying to control the future. And here in the second verse, it says trying to control the future is like trying to take the master carpenter's place. When you handle the master carpenter's tools, chances are you'll cut your hand. As soon as you try to hold on to that thing, right? How many of you have tried to hold on to marriages? How many of you have tried to hold on to jobs? How many of you have tried to hold on to like the respect of others? Anything that eventually just turned out to cut your hand. You ended up just, mutilating yourself in trying to allow what was going to be to just happen. That's something that, and this verse, this 74 is beautiful for right now, for this moment in time as we're moving into, the holiday season and stuff. We're all just coming off of a holiday and moving into the season of commerce, right? Like we're all, I'm sure there are many people right now out there drinking a spiced latte while they're going to their, sixth fucking store of the day here on National Buy Nothing Day, right? Like it's let's look around really quick. If you want to join me, if you have a number between 1 and 81 and you want to join me for the Tao of the day, please join me. Give me a number. We will read your Tao for the day and then go through it line by line. I'm going through 74 for myself, and I'm just waiting for the opportunity for you to cut me off, because otherwise I'll talk about myself all day. So please join me if you have a number between 1 and 81 and you would like to have your Tao for the day read. So there was something that I wanted to say, and I may have missed it. If you realize that all things are going to change. Oh yeah. So we went through the pandemic. We were going through the pandemic, I guess. I don't know. It's hard to say what's going on. Maybe this is just the new normal. So maybe the pandemic's over and, we have the Macy's Day Parade again. Oh, whoopty fuck. there's a verse in the Tao that talks about people running around as if they're at a parade. Um, like just like yeah, it's funny. So, but how many people are trying to control the future right now by getting our education system back the way it was, even though it was broken? Getting our economic structure back the way it was, even though we know it's broken? Getting our commerce back the way it was, even though we know it's broken? Everything that led us into this pandemic has been broken for quite some time. And yet we are so determined to get those things back to the way they were. So many of us are. I mean, I'm sure many of you have gotten over that, and you already recognize, no, these things have to change, right? But cryptocurrency isn't changing the structure of anything. It's still a damaged structure. So for those of you who are like crypto crazy and want to, have crypto instead of cash, like, great. I'm real proud of you. I'm really happy that you're out there, but that is just trying to make something work within a system that was broken anyway. And I don't know that decentralizing money, although that is a good step uh, in the world, I don't know that crypto or cash or any of those things are really the right way forward. Those are structures. Those are structures that I think we can work within, but outside of that, I don't think that that's the right way to embrace change. I think what crypto does and what we're trying to do now that we're out of the pandemic is hold on to something that is familiar. But as it says here in number 74, trying to control the future is like trying to take the master carpenter's place. Catherine's joining me. God, love you. When you handle the master carpenter's tools, chances are that you'll cut your hand. Hello, my dear.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. Getting ready to do Christmas tree decorating today.
Oh, yes, my sister does that the day after. Or actually, she does it the night of Thanksgiving. After she eats, she puts up her tree.
Oh, well, I do whenever I can get to it, so we'll see how well it goes. I have 3 trees.
Wow. Do you really like Christmas or?
Um, well, we decorate, and then that's all we do for Christmas.
Well, that's good. I think I do a lot less.
Oh, yeah, it's kind of like, it just kind of makes the house feel festive and fun and,
and is it
changes it up a little bit.
you and your petting zoo? They're gonna enjoy all of that.
My mother lives with me.
Oh, well, that's nice. How's your mom doing?
She's doing good. She's doing something with the dogs downstairs. I can hear all kinds of crazy noises.
Oh, well, good. That's fun.
Yes, yes. The grand dogs have her well trained.
Yes, I'm sure they do. So I
Yeah,
read 74, which I thought was a beautiful one. Do you have a number for me today?
that's the dog. 32.
32.
Did you hear that
I
noise?
did. I did. I thought it was you, and I was like, "Whoa, that's a noise I haven't heard from you before."
That's Spencer saying hello. 32.
Hello,
32.
Spencer. Okay, the Tao cannot be perceived. Smaller than an electron, it contains countless galaxies. If powerful men and women could remain centered in the Tao, all things would be in harmony. The world would become a paradise. All people would be at peace, and the law would be written in their hearts. I think this is right up your alley. When we have names and when you have names and forms, know that they are provisional. When you have institutions, know where their functions should end. Knowing when to stop, you can avoid any danger. All things end in the Tao as rivers flow to the sea.
Ooh, the multiverse.
Yes.
Common law.
Right? Like this is what I'm seeing as the string that ties you and 32 together so closely.
Yes. And
So
the path that we are on currently.
yes, yes. It's sometimes it's hard to see that path, but we are
If
we
no, it's easy to it's a lot easier to see that path if you are open and willing to use your critical thinking. But if you allow people to tell you your path, and that isn't anything. I mean, I've had so many conversations about people feeling like they have to do what everybody tells them about marketing and business, and it just ends up a disaster. So when you allow someone to tell you your path, then it's not your path.
That's super interesting because that relates so much to the Tao that I just read, which was like if you try to take the master's tools, chances are you're going to cut your hands. Like it talks about the master carpenter.
Yes.
Yeah, so like so many people try to take these side roads to just be like, "Oh, it's super simple. All you have to do is da da da." And I was talking how that often just kind of is built into just sell courses. Just like, "Oh, we just want to continue to flood the market with, bad advice."
Well, I don't know that it's bad advice. It was the advice that was the path for them.
Right, right. Yeah. And yeah,
It's like trying to get someone, like you're, we're all slightly different shapes and models. And so not everything in that's going to work. And so if you beat yourself up because you can't do it, or as the system will say, well, if it didn't work, you didn't do it right, then,
right.
I'm not just like you. So, middle finger, buddy.
That I love that. I love a good flip off.
That's
Um,
right.
so let's go through this. Let's see. The Tao cannot be perceived smaller than an electron. It contains uncountable galaxies.
Ooh, I love that. I love that because I remember this scene I saw when studying quantum physics that um, it goes out into the universe and then comes all the way back into the earth, and as it comes down it goes to a human and goes through the skin and down to all these little tiny molecules again, and it's like what is perceived big is actually made of all these little tiny itty bitty you know connections, and it's not it's bigger and it's smaller than we think it is.
Right. And like thinking ahead, just as what we're about to read as we continue to go through it and what we were talking about, like the number of solutions and the way every individual it's not just the subject, right? It is the subject paired with the individual, paired with the moment, which makes these each one of these uh, each one of these like universes, each one of these experiences, each one of these galaxies of experience, a unique thing.
Yeah. Yeah, and
So that's
there's
yeah,
more to what meets the eye.
right. Yeah, that's it's not just there is one way of doing things. There's not just in the question, in the experience, there are countless ways of having that experience, countless ways of living through that, or coming up with a solution or another question or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of how I'm seeing that, just in the terms of like what we will go to, because we already addressed this idea of like what we're about to read. So moving into the next line. If powerful men and women could remain centered in the Tao, all things would be in harmony.
Well, I mean, enough said.
Right. And I always like to, for this, I always want to say powerful men and women could be parents, could be children like yourself living with your mom. You are our
Authority
powerful.
figures.
Yeah, anybody that has power, and even, like somebody that's not an authority figure, but in one moment has power over another person because they're being looked to as an authority for some reason
A
that
guru.
yeah, or just, just somebody that is acting some way on a bus is getting a lot of attention so that they have, if even if they're acting poorly, they're powerful in that they have that attention. And if they could remain centered in the Tao, all things would be in harmony. But it's not always the case. That
No.
people who are getting attention, people who are in a position of power, whatever that means, even an older sibling or a younger sibling who's been praised recently, and then someone's looking to them for guidance.
Yeah, and sometimes the person that is looked as though they have the power is being put on a pedestal by someone else and
Right.
manipulating it. Like sometimes we look at the wrong direction too.
That's right. That's right. And that's why, like I always want to take this first line, if powerful men and women, and I want to look at that as a very broad spectrum, not just people in governance or people who are famous or whatever. Like each one of us is powerful.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's like, even if we do look at government, we forget that it's, what really changes our community is our children. So if we look at just the school board instead of the Congress in Washington, D.C.,
Right.
sometimes we forget that it's not just the big titles, it's the ramifications of their decisions.
Yeah. So then we move
Ooh, I
on.
like that.
Yeah. Then we move on to the world would become a paradise. All people would be at peace and the law would be written in their hearts. And I
Common
love
law.
this. Love that because that's where the law is, right? The law is in your heart. It is not on a piece of paper. And that is like, it's so, I love that.
Well, that's common law.
Right.
That's what we need to go back to, because all of these contracts and all of these rules and laws have so many loopholes in them. We've forgotten basic common law. Don't steal. Don't murder. Be kind to your neighbor. Like, common law.
Right.
Be kind to others. Help those in need. Like literal common law. Imagine if it went back to that.
Yeah, and the Tao talks a lot about like how when you create some things, you create other things. Like you create thieves when you create like property or whatever. So like that sort of a thing kind of gets talked about in different ways as well. And I think that whole, the law would be written in their hearts, and the common law like concepts I think are great, and moving back to that would be a step in the right direction for sure.
Well, because, I mean, honestly, people don't stop at a stop sign because they're afraid they're going to get a ticket. They stop at a stop sign because it's the right thing to do.
Right. And I think young people stop at a stop sign or, Hollywood through a stop sign because they're not present, and I know that was my thing. I would Hollywood through stop signs all the time. That just means slowing down kind of. And then like,
We call it a California stop, but
okay. Yeah. Well, I'm just, yeah, that's a California. I call it a Hollywood. I mean, they're both, one
yep.
is more centralized. Then we have like, when you have names and forms, know that they are provisional. And I love this group of three.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you have names and forms, know that they're provisional. That's like rules. I know
Yep.
during the deep pandemic, like I stopped at red lights, but fuck that. I'm not waiting for it to turn green. Ain't nobody on the road. Like I would just roll. I would stop and then I would just go if I knew that there was no camera there, because I was like, it doesn't matter. Those things are provisional. Like
Right.
laws and rules and those things. Like I ain't gotta wait here for nobody.
Well, and honestly, I mean, I think it's such an important thing, though, for people to understand what is a law and what is provisional. I
Right.
mean, these are things that are literally being discussed at the moment that people don't realize. You know, a mandate is not a law.
Right.
And so that gets confusing. It's kind of like, you know, in your home, what is, you know, provisional? What is a law? Well, I'd say in my house, the law is don't mess with the heat upstairs in my area due to the fact it screws up everything else in the house.
Right. Right. Right.
The mandate is, you know, play with the heat downstairs all day if you want.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you know, I prefer you didn't because it affects everything else, but you know, do what you want downstairs. But it's
Right.
like those things that are like that really screw up the system, that put a wrench
Yeah. Yeah.
in the chain of everything else happening. That provision is like, well, I prefer you didn't do this.
Right. And then it goes on to say, when you have institutions, know where their function should end. And I think you have a lot to say about that.
Well, yeah, you don't have to boss at me.
That's right. That's right. And like, how many institutions just want to be the boss of you? From our education system to our government to, like
Companies.
companies, like so many things. Just their functions. They may have their functions are structural, but within those structures, we need to live and we need to be able to experience.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, looking at people being fired for, you know, not doing something in companies right now, which I'm not saying out loud. It's like, wait, what? You know,
Right.
like, and then, you know, they seem to ratchet down. Once you get away with one rule, you're like, oh, people for another rule. And this is not like just during the pandemic. In general, this is how it works. Oh, well,
Right.
people will follow this. Well, then we'll make more rules and more rules and more rules and they'll comply to this and comply to that.
You just ran out of time. I'm gonna have to ask you to come back on because we got two more sections to go through, and I would love to do that. Here we go.
So my last words on that is, as citizens following this Tao in this one, it is everyone's responsibility about how far the rules go.
That's right. And how far the institutions can reach,
Yeah.
and to fight for the institutions is like, I mean, that's fine if that's what you're here for, but understand that just because it was that way when you were young doesn't mean that it's necessarily needs to be that way still.
Well, not only that, but you know, how likely sometimes it's the dangerous creature that you continue to feed that ends up biting you in the end.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Knowing when to stop, you can avoid any danger is the next line. How, yeah. That's what we're
There you
saying.
go. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's exactly what we're saying.
That's right. Knowing
Don't
when
feed
to
the
stop.
bear.
Don't, yeah. Don't feed the bear. Um, all things end in the Tao as a river flows to the sea. And I always like to like these things aren't these Tao chapters. They're not random. Like they don't like they're not just different things put together. We have to go back. I always like to go back and look at like the first line here says the Tao can't be perceived. Smaller than electron, it contains uncountable galaxies. And then we went into all of this stuff about powerful men and women, and then names and forms and institutions. And now we're talking all things end in the Tao as a river flows to the sea. It can seem very separate, and I'm not necessarily seeing it all. Do you have a way of seeing this as like, how does this end here for you? All things end in the Tao as a river flows to the sea.
So I see it as one of the ways I describe like being in intuition in flow. of the the flow of a river when we are in flow and relax and don't force, like you don't want to. Rowing upstream is much more difficult than just fighting the flowing in the direction of the river. And there'll be rough spots, but if you can just relax and be with the water, with the flow, and be aware but not be forcing, and be aware but not be afraid, then you will flow graciously and beautifully to the sea.
Hmm. And I'm trying to see what these, like I'm always like this is one that's really got me a little like I agree with that. And I'm looking at and I'm reading over this just like in my mind, and I'm trying to see how these all relate, because yes, that's true, but
Okay, so here's
things,
how I can help you relate.
yeah,
So
please.
though so if you take a river and you try to like redirect it, not with major, engineers, but try to, redirect some of it, it will find its way back. And I think that of the laws that we talked about, if you
Hmm.
try to force it go one direction, it will find its way back.
Okay.
With authority and parents, like the way we're talking about, that's trying to push back, that's trying to row up river, because I'm going to go against the grain. I'm going to rule the river by making it, I'm going to show you can go this way. Where if
Can I
some people,
try this? Can I try
yeah,
this for a second? Yeah, thanks.
yeah,
So here I'm going back now to the verse, and we say, if powerful men and women could remain centered in the Tao, then
mm-hmm,
they would be flowing as the river. All
mm-hmm,
things would be in harmony. The world would become a paradise. All people would be at peace, and the law would be written on their hearts. This is them flowing as the river into the sea, just like tumbling down and actually moving everything with it, right? Like
mm-hmm,
eroding the rock and being able to do all of the powerful things that a river can do
mm-hmm.
while it is moving, not impeded,
Right.
right? Like, because it is flowing with a full heart
Mm-hmm.
of, the law of the Tao. Now,
Yep.
when you have names and forms, know that they are provisional. These are like stones in the middle
Yep.
of the river.
Yes.
As the river, as we are flowing, we flow over that stone, and eventually that stone will be eroded away because it is provisional. It is not something that is permanent.
Mm-hmm.
When you have institutions, know when their function should end. So if you need to redirect, yes, you redirect, but understand that like we are going to get back to the center.
Yep.
Knowing when to stop, you can avoid any danger. Yes, now I understand how this like all things meaning powerful men and women, meaning everybody, meaning everything, and everything ends in the Tao as a river flows into the sea. And so we, as long as we continue to open our heart and open our ourselves to the Tao, we will flow into the sea with ease as the river does.
As your intuition guides you.
As you are guided. Man, that's a huge relief, because this was one that had like that was an ending that I could never really kind of like relate back, and now and in your explanation it really kind of cleared things up for me. So I appreciate your help.
Well, that's what I'm here for.
Oh well, yeah, just keep coming. Just keep coming. And we'll just I mean, so what I want to ask, what kind of trees do you have? Like I'm guessing that they're not real trees because you have three.
They are not real trees. They used to always be real trees, but I had pneumonia many years ago and was sick for like 5 months. And after that, I couldn't have real trees in the house, sadly.
Wow. Was that because of the ammonia, or do you have like an irrational fear of trees now that you had that experience?
No, I have asthma,
Aye.
but and with the real trees and the after effects of the pneumonia, I just can't have them in the house.
Oh, okay. Are they
Yeah,
all green, your trees?
they're all green. They're themed.
Oh, are they pre-decorated?
God no.
Okay, I didn't know. So they're themed. Why? Like, but they're all green. What do you mean they're themed? Like in your decorating, they're going to be
Yeah,
themed, or
so we have a small 4-foot tree in the kitchen and it has all animals on it.
oh, okay.
It's the animal tree. Like, so it has sharks and dogs and cats and kangaroos and otters and,
So,
you know,
so animals. Yeah,
all kinds of animals. Yeah.
all kinds of animals.
And then I have a tall, thin 7-foot tree, which is all ice skating ornaments that I've been collecting my whole life.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I was a figure skater growing up.
Oh man,
Yes.
look at
I know.
that.
Look at that. Look at that.
Glad. Can I? Can I? You don't have anything on YouTube, do you?
Oh, God, no. No. It was way before the cell phone.
Yeah, no, I understand. I understand.
Well, the cell phone that was not attached to your car.
Right, right. And what's the third tree's theme?
It is kind of an old fashioned tree. So I have like the Austrian candles on the tree. And I
Oh,
have
do you
lots
have
of
like
like,
tin ornaments and
I
stuff?
do have some old tin
Oh, I
ornaments,
love those.
ornaments that I made when I was little, and, homemade ornaments people have given me. And it's kind of just like an interesting collection. Places we've traveled, but they're old fashioned kind of looking ornaments on it. And it's a
Yeah.
big, um, it's a 9-foot tree.
Oh, wow.
It's a big tree. Yeah.
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 Well, that's the one that goes in front of the window.
It goes in front of the window, and my house kind of has openings through the whole downstairs. So it's in the front of the house, but you can see it through 3 other rooms as well, which is nice.
Oh, that's nice. And do you use the big lights or do you use small lights or
I have
LED?
the little lights. The 2 fancy trees have white lights, and the animal tree has colored lights.
Ah, okay. See,
Yeah.
and now are you gonna make a little like spiced rum or something and like have a nice have a nice day decorating trees?
No, well, we watched Planes, Trains, and Automobiles yesterday, which is a
Oh, okay.
tradition.
Yeah.
I'd like to get my hands on the movie Dutch. Do you know that? Remember that movie?
I do know that movie. Chevy Chase, I believe, correct?
No, it's the guy from the Chicago Family. What was that show? I had the fountain in the beginning, and like the kids were always in trouble. Oh, what can I think of it?
Oh, Married with Children?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, he stars in it,
Okay.
and he
I'm
goes and
looking it up right now.
gets his
Oh,
soon-to-be
yeah.
stepchild. Do you remember that? It's very, very funny, but I can't get my hands on it, so I'll have to figure out how to get my hands on it sometime.
Street.
But we watch Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. So we might start watching our Christmas movies. We watch all 3 Santa Clauses every year. And
Oh, look at you guys. That's so fun.
yeah, we have,
Yeah.
our own, we've created quirky traditions through the years.
Yeah, I think I think watching movies and decorating trees, no, that's not, I mean, I don't know what's quirky about that, but.
Yeah, we don't really do presents. Sometimes we'll buy presents, but we buy what we want and then we wrap them and then we open them up. Look, oh my God, look at the
Look at
sweater
what I
you bought me. Yeah,
got.
we've done that for a long time though.
Yeah, our family stopped doing presents for anybody but the children a long time ago, and every now and again, someone will be excited about getting someone an experience gift, and
Mm.
so like you'll be like, you know what? I think that this is something you would really love to do, and I am flipping the bill for you to do this thing.
Oh, that's nice. I
Yeah.
can remember one year we visited my brother and they were really struggling financially that year, which I was unaware of. But this is what he reminds me of that. Why he's like, why did you like that Christmas? I mean, it was best. He goes, that was a year I couldn't buy presents. I was like, it was awesome. What he gave was they gave tickets. So they gave tickets for a sleigh ride behind the tractor and, a
Mm.
back massage and I'll make you any treat that you want, and
Oh
I'll
yeah.
I'll play a board game, whatever board game you want. It was all these cute tickets. I thought it was the most fun. And my brother's like, really? That was the year I actually couldn't buy presents. I'm like, I thought it was awesome. I had the best
Yeah.
time.
Well, that's the thing, like when you're forced into it, Like I'm going to be doing a dark retreat soon, which is like, yeah, I think we talked about that a little
Yeah.
briefly. And I was just talking to someone the other day who was when they were in prison, they had to deal with solitary confinement, which is very similar. And I was like, oh yeah, it's a different thing completely when you're forced to do it versus
Yes.
when you choose to do it.
Right. Yeah, that's so true. Yeah, he still to this day is like, I really this, but I thought it was so fun.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah, those
super
sorts of
fun.
experiences and just like quality time is on the top of my it's one of the top things for my like love languages and what have you. And like quality time is so important and that kind
Hmm.
of thing is beautiful.
Yeah, I thought it was great, but whatever. They never did
Yeah,
it again. I suggest it
for
to people
yeah.
all the time, though. I'm like, everyone should do this. This is so cool.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we get the puppies presents. They get so excited. They get so excited when the Christmas time comes out. They're like, "Oh my God!" and they run through the house. I'm like, "I'm not getting you new outfits. Sorry."
That's funny.
Yeah, but otherwise, we just hang out at home. My main
Uh,
guest for Christmas is gone to home for the year for the next 3 months. Yeah, so he lives
what?
in Chile.
Oh.
He went to Chile this year. Yeah.
Oh, I know people a very wonderful friend of mine lives in Santiago and I've been there a couple times. So
Yeah. Well, he lives here down the street from me, so his car is spending Christmas with us.
oh well. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Is it a nice car? I don't know.
It's all right. It's not.
Nothing to write home about.
It's got too many perfumes in it.
Ooh,
Yeah.
yeah, that's unfortunate.
It smells nice in the bad way.
Yeah,
You like that?
that- yeah. I'm not so much a fan of any perfume. So like,
Yeah.
things get overwhelming real quick with perfume.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
With all the cologne he wears, I don't know why he wears so much.
Uh,
And then with the smelly stickers in the car, I'm like, oh my God, we're gonna die driving
yeah.
this. But
Like
that's
it.
fine.
It reminds me of like when you have names and forms, know that they are provisional. When you're
Yes.
institute, when you're cologne, when you have colognes, know where their function should end.
Exactly. Yes. Can I put a sticker like that in his house? Now, do you have a
Oh.
tree? Do you do any decorating? Do you have any tree or anything like that?
Oh, no, 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 no. I don't do
No.
anything. Yeah, no, I don't like celebrating isn't necessarily my strong suit.
Yeah, I don't know that we really do the celebrating. We just like the change of the atmosphere in the house. And we put music on. I'm like, okay, look, it's Christmas. Ta-da!
Yeah, I know when I and you just cut out. It was wonderful spending 2 15-minute sections with you, even though we only talked about the Dow for probably 15 of those. But love you, Catherine, and I'm just wish you all the best. And like I said, send my mom your best. Send your mom my best, and have a wonderful day today with your decorating and all of that. If anybody wants to come on and give me a number between 1 and 81, I would be happy to go back to the Tao of the Day. I am not a decorator. I enjoy the quiet of every evening. Um, there was a time I lived in a place and we had lights. We had Christmas lights up all year, and we would turn them on all the time, just to bathe in that kind of, if they were colored, that warm light, and if they were white, that just kind of like soft little small lights. But either way, this is Tao of the Day. We covered 47, no, 74 and 32. Interesting. I covered 47 yesterday, and then I covered 74 today. So lots of sevens and fours in my I don't know, periphery, I suppose. If you're listening and want to join me for Tao of the Day, come on, give me a number between 1 and 81, and I would be happy to go through a Tao with you. This is something that I do every day, Monday through Friday, here on Wisdom, usually sometime in the mid-morning hours, Central Time in the United States. I'm here in Chicago and would love for you to join me anytime you're available to pick a number between 1 and 81, and I would be happy to share the Tao with you. The Tao has guided me through so much, and it helps me just keep things in a perspective and living a reasonable and happy life. So if you would like that, I would suggest you check out the Tao as well. Thank you again, Catherine, for joining me today with number 32. And we will be back on Monday. So my name is Martin John. I host the Recover Yourself podcast, and this program is also being turned into a podcast on Spotify entitled Tao of the Day. So you can find that there if you wanted to listen to older things. Also here on Wisdom, of course, but Wisdom is kind of weird now, and I don't know exactly how to find all of the I don't know how to find stuff on Wisdom. The searching is not always the best, but I'm sure they will improve that in time. It's still a new app, and I'm happy to be on Wisdom. So until next time, each and every one of you have a wonderful life, and I hope that you are doing great things this weekend to celebrate the holiday season and enjoying yourself today. Don't get injured with any shopping malfunctions, and until next time, keep recovering yourself.